So right now I have to re-record and overdub my voice because the original recording was really staticky and messed up. So I'm overdubbing, so if it's not matching my lips right now, this is why. So right now you guys are going to be doing lesson 6, and you have a few of the things to download. You have the pattern PSD, and you have the start PSD, as well as the PFD that you're going to end up needing. So let's go ahead and get the 6 and download that. You're going to go ahead and get the start file for 6 as well, and then the virtual book. I've lumped 6 and 7 together since they're kind of the same thing. And let's go ahead and open that start. So now we have this girl here, and we're going to be doing some editing with her face. So now we're going to open up this book, and I'm going to have it here to the left so we can kind of better see. Alright, so the first thing is it wants you to go ahead, let's look at this girl here, and this is what you're going to end up doing with this little pattern in the back, which is really cool.
All right, so we're not going to worry about that getting started thing. We're going to go ahead and scroll through and try this first part. So selecting in the mask. Okay, so in the layers panel, make sure both layers are visible and the model layer is selected. So they're both visible and the model layer is selected. Choose select and mask. So we're going to choose select, which is going to be up here, and we're going to do select and mask. So where is that? It's right here. Okay, so that's going to open up now its own window to do things in. And within that window, it says, yeah, notice it's a transparent onion skin. Okay, so we want to be able to kind of see what it is that we're editing. So how you do that is in the view mode, and we're going to choose overlay. So this is the view mode up here, and you're going to choose where it says overlay. So this red part is overlaying what we're going to work with. From here in the options bar, click on the select subject button. So here you have all the options up here. You're going to hit select subject. They're going to use AI to grab the person. I see it running. Okay, it grabbed her, and now she's no longer in the red. So click the view menu, and then in the properties panel, choose black and white. So we're going to this view here. They want it to be black and white. So now we see it looks like a inverted look. All right, in the view mode, they choose overlay to better use the actual image. Okay, it says this view mode helps mask the edge easier. Notice there's a few over the chest that were missed. So there's like areas here they're talking about that were missed. So click the view mode and then choose overlay. Okay, so we're going to go back to overlay. So now we're going to basically see this area in her chest, it didn't grab, and then there's some areas in her hair that, because AI is not perfect. Eventually it will be, or close to, but it's not. So now we're going to go ahead and add them to the quick selection tool. So make the quick selection tool selected, which is one we can always hover over if we don't know which one it is. So I'm going to make sure that it's selected. That's that one. And then they want a size of 15. I'm going to go ahead and manually put 15. And then drag the selection tool over the missed areas without dragging it onto the background. So in order to do that, you're probably going to want to zoom in. So I'm going to hit Alt, and I'm going to zoom in. And this is what they're talking about, like the area of her chest. So I have this here, and I'm going to go and move it. So you see how it helped get this area of her chest. Now, if I were sloppy, I'm accidentally picking up the background. That's not what we want. So all they're saying is go ahead and get just the area of her chest. So I fixed that. Click the view menu button again, and then they want you to choose on layers. So we're going to choose back here, and we're going to choose where it says on layers. So now it's a different view mode, and this lets us take a look at basically how it currently looks. So we're going to inspect the edges around the model at a high magnification, such as 400. Okay, wow, they want us to go really, really in depth. Okay, so now we're going to refine the mask. At a magnification of 300 or higher, inspect the empty areas of her hair. Okay, so they're talking about the empty areas of her hair. They have it around right here. And it says there's a large hole on the inside, this hole here, and then her hair loop. So the blue background should be showing through the upper gap, but the gap is currently not masked out. So we have to add it to the mask. So now what we're going to do is the edge refine. So we're going to grab over here and grab the edge refine tool, and we're going to set up a brush with 20 pixels. So let's grab 20 pixels. And then now we want a hardness of 100, and drag the refine brush over the enclosed area so that the transparent gaps. Okay, so they're talking about this. And you see how the blue, it took like a second or two, but it came back. So that blue went through her hair so that it basically cleans it up. And that's what we wanted to do, is clean it up there. Now we're going to view it in this black and white mode. So let's go ahead and view the black and white mode. I'm going to hit Alt 0. Now I can see the whole thing again. And if you can see the hair, other details should be more visible right here. Mine is looking just like this. All right, adjusting global refinements. So now we're going to tighten these up some more. In the view mode section of the properties panel, choose on layers. Okay, so we're going to choose the on layers. In the global refinement section, move the slider to create a smooth, unfeathered edge along her face. Okay, so this is the global refinements over here, and they want us to create a smooth refinement. So let's see how far they want us to move that. We remove the slider to 1 to reduce the roughness. Okay, so the slider to 1 to remove that, and then contrast to 20. And then shift edge to -15. And that did, I guess, a little subtle difference right there to her face on the edges. So it's like basically it cleans it up a little bit more. It says take a look at the preview of the current mask and you can make any corrections. So I think I'm good. I have the zero. I'll even zoom in on this. All right, so we're just going to go ahead and take a look at completing the mask. So if the output settings are hidden, they're talking about this. You have to open it up. Then zoom in 200% so you can see more easily the light. And we're looking at the light fringing, so basically like that area around her face where the light hits. And due to the model's layered background, you're seeping in behind the mask. Okay, so let's zoom in a little bit on that part that they're talking about. They're saying that this is kind of seeping in a little bit. So now what they want us to do is decontaminate colors to suppress the color fringes, okay? So big words, we're going to go ahead and check that out, the decontaminate colors. And I'm assuming that helped just a little bit. They put their amount to 25%, so it's less harsh. And then they chose new layer. Okay, so choose new layer with the layer mask from the output to the menu. Okay, so it's going to output. And in the lower right corner of the select a mask, click OK. All right, so it got me back to this mode here. So what's nice is all of this created this new mask here. That's what they're talking about with the new layer. And it kept this one here. So in the layers panel, the model copy now has a layer mask. They're talking about this, having the mask. And it was generated by the selected mask that we were in. If the mask isn't perfect, you can edit it at any time. And when the layer mask is in the layers panel, you can select a mask button. So all they're talking about is like, let's say you wanted to add to this because you messed up something or forgot something, you can double click this mask and you want to enter the mode. And then I could go back in here now and go back to this stuff, fix something that I might have messed up, hit OK, and I can go back to the mode. So that's kind of what they're talking about there in case you messed up. So let's puppet warp because you're going to end up puppet warping later. So we're going to zoom out so we see the entire model, or you can press Control-0 or zoom out. And then with the layer model selected, in the layers panel, choose Edit Puppet Warp. Okay, so it wants Edit Puppet Warp. So we're going to go to Edit, and we're going to do this thing called Puppet Warp. So put this grid stuff all over her face. And what we're going to do with that is it has this little mesh area. So we're going to add points. We're going to add these pins around the body along the base of her head. So right here around her neck. And then each time you click, it adds a pin. So we're going to add about 10 to 12 of these pins. And the pins you add around the shirt keeps it in place where that is. So it says click the pin at the nape of the neck to select it. So I'm going to zoom in now so I can see. And they said they want the pin to the nape of the neck. So I'm going to go ahead and choose it around here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I probably didn't space mine out as good as theirs, but it'll still work. So body and the base of the neck. Whoops. All right, so let me put some more pins around the same places they have theirs. All right, so I have all these little pins all around. And then now press Alt or Options in a larger circle. So I'm going to hit Alt. I'm going to go down here to my key and hit Alt. And you see how that it changed what I was doing. Okay, let me go back and do that again. So I have this, I have the blue button. So as the one that's blue is the one that's currently selected. I'm hitting Alt, and then if it disappears, just re-click. And when I move this like this, the reason you want to hold Alt is to kind of help it. So we want to make sure like that. We just made her neck look like it broke. So you want to make it like at least smoother so it looks like it's not fake. I'm worrying about the look. So when you're satisfied, I'm satisfied because I just really want to have her head tilt back, and that's good enough for me. I'm going to hit the check mark. And then it says delete the layer model, the one without the mask, because it's no longer needed. So we're going to delete that, hit delete, and then save. So file, save. And then now we're going to create a pattern for the background. So this is going to kind of fun. So the background is based on star shapes, and there's no star in Photoshop because there's shapes in here. But if I click down, you see there's no star. So we can create one. So in the layer 6, open the document pattern. It opens in a separate. So we're gonna remember that other one that we got. We're gonna file open, and we're gonna go ahead and find the lesson 6 pattern. And this is what they mean by it opens in its own little thing. It's a little blank. We're going to select the polygon tool. So the polygon tool is, I'm going to hold down on my mouse so I can get these different shapes, and I'm going to find the polygon tool. It's grouped with the rectangle. In the options, make sure that the tool is set to shape. They're talking about this up here. Make sure it says shape. Could be something else. Make sure it says shape. And then hold down Shift and draw a polygon of about 340 pixels. So I'm going to hold down Shift so that it maintains. I have mine in inches. They said they wanted it 340 pixels wide. There's probably a setting that we can change, but I'm not worried so much about that setting. I just want it to basically fill. I want it to be large enough that it filled this. So I'm going to hold down Shift so it's proportional and make that smaller. Okay. With the layer still selected, in the appearance section of the properties panel, select the fill swatch to no color. Okay, so the fill swatch, that's over here. They want, let me hit done. They want no color. That's going to be the white with the giant X. So it's not colored anymore. And then now they want the stroke, which is basically like the outline, to be 20 pixels. So if we look at this stroke, they said they want it to be as thick as 20 pixels. So let's go ahead and make that 20 pixels. So now I have this. And then stroke color should be slightly darker than the background. So they use specific sets of RGB, red, green, and blue values. We're going to go ahead and do the exact same thing so we get the same color. Set it to that. I want this one to be the color. So if I want that stroke to be this exact color, I have to double click this. This gives me different colors to use. And then from here, I'd have to double click here to basically be able to manually add the color I want. And they wanted 23 red, 49 green, and 153. So then that is what enables this stroke to be that color. And then last thing is we want the polygon to have 8 sides. Right now it has 5. So let's go ahead and set that to 8. So in the properties panel, set the number of sides to 8. So we'll have to find the properties panel over here and have the number of sides. Should be able to scroll down. It's at 5. We want it to be 8. 8. And then the star ratio to 70%. So over here, 70. So that's the only way to kind of get it to have that star. You have to make sure that in the properties area, you change these values or else your shape is not going to take shape. So see how mine is still a little too big? I'm going to go ahead and make it just a little bit smaller so that it's not overdoing on the entire blue square. So in the layers panel, duplicate the star shape by dragging it and dropping it to create. So we're going to grab this shape, we're going to drag it down to this plus, and that's going to give us a copy. And now in the transform selection, change the rotate. Okay, so the transform section of the properties panel, change the rotate to 24. So we're going to go over here on this copy, and we're going to change the rotate to the 24. Let's find that rotate to 24. That would be in here. And we want to rotate it to 24. I don't care if it's, there we go, at 24. Now they probably want it smaller. Choose edit free transform. We're already at the free transform. And then make it shrink so that it fits into the larger one. Okay, so they're not being that picky. They just said, hey, make it so that it fits. Okay. All right, choose the view pattern to see how the design looks as a pattern. All right, so we're going to put view pattern. Okay. So the original shape is on the canvas, but the pattern, okay, let's go ahead and look. Cool. So it basically took these and duplicated them to make them look like some sort of a large pattern. The pattern preview updates to account for any changes you make. And then select the move tool and select polygon 1, the larger style. Okay, so polygon 1, the large star, and look for a circular handle inside the top right start point. So they're talking about that right there, and they probably want us to pull it in. So we're going to pull it in by 20 radius of 20 pixels. Okay, so let's pull it in by, they said 20 pixels. Okay, theirs is in pixels, mine is in inches. Yet again, instead of you changing your units, I just want you to curve it out. All I want you to do is make sure that you curve it out. If not, there's other settings you have to mess with I don't want you to mess with. So in the layers panel, select the polygon 1 copy. There's our polygon 1 copy. And in the properties panel, set the number of points to 15 to select the copy. We're going to have that one 15. All right, now it's all spiky. And then reduce the stroke width to 15. So the stroke width was 20. We're setting it to 15. So it's thinning it out just a little bit. And then click the eye icon for the background layer to hide it so that the pattern has a transparent background. Okay. So now it basically, the checkered squares means that it's see-through. It's just for the sake of you knowing it's see-through. It gives you that, but it actually is see-through. And then now we're going to choose edit define pattern. So we're going to go to edit and we're going to go to where it says define the pattern. And we're going to name it podcast pattern. So they want to call it podcast pattern. I'm going to hit OK. This creates the pattern so you can use it. So basically we just created a pattern we're going to put back in here. So this saves it, choose file, save as, and name the file this. I'm going to go ahead and just copy that for me. You might have to type it out. I'm going to file, save as. And I'm going to just name it this, which is the working. And then they want us to switch to the 06 working. So they want us to switch to this one, back to the girl, and select the episode background layer. I've got the episode background layer. In the layers panel, click the create new fill or adjustment layer button and choose pattern. So in the layers panel, which we're over here, click the create new fill or adjustment. So that's going to be this one down here. We're going to add this pattern here. Now it's going to ask us which pattern. So in the pattern fill dialog box, at the bottom of the list, select the blue pattern you created. Cool. So there should be what we just created. And it already worked, which is really cool. And set the angle to 45 degrees. So we're going to set this angle to 45 degrees and set the scale, so how big it is, to 35%. And then we're going to hit OK, which created this real cool looking mandala looking thing. Save your work and your podcast background is ready for next stage. So we have the girl head tilt, but there's something else additionally I want you to do with this. This helps me know that you guys did this the right way. And I want you to go over back to your pattern. So I had the pattern working, but I want you specifically to go back to this polygon, and I want you to change it to 7 sides. I want you to change it to 3 sides. And then in addition, I want this polygon here, instead of 15, I want it to be 10. And then I want you to go ahead and move that down so it's kind of like this. Now, it doesn't have to be perfect, but I want it to be close to this. I'm going to go to Edit, and we're going to go to Define Pattern, and we're going to call this one the alternate. And I want you to hit OK. And we're going to go back to the Start 6. Make sure the episode background is selected. And we're going to go ahead and go here, and we're going to apply our new pattern. Drop down list, we should have the other one that you created, not just this one. So this should be the alternate, and then hit OK. And then from here, I want you to go ahead and add you and your partner's name. And then right over you and your partner's name, I want that text. See how I move that in the front? I want it to be right around here. And then so what you're going to do is when you turn this into me, you should have the girl's head tilted with some other, don't care what it is, some sort of alternate pattern, not the one that you created, but the alternate one that you created. You're going to go ahead and file export on that. You could name it less than 6, whatever you want. And this is, you can leave all the settings to default. And when you export